Happy Friday. I'm wearing my Sleeveless Records t-shirt today. This is my brother's record label. His name is Stylist. He's a DJ and producer in LA, and he's releasing his EP today. It's on Spotify and whatnot. So I'm just repping the brand today. But I wanted to do a quick recap of my conversation with Chantal Russell from The Well. She was the latest guest on the podcast, and we had a really beautiful conversation. It goes really deep into a ton of different topics, which was why this video was actually pretty hard to make, because I had to narrow it down to a couple of key takeaways. And so if you haven't listened yet, I highly recommend the full episode. There's so much there, but I'm going to try and summarize just a couple of the things that were takeaways for me that I'm continuing to percolate and think on. The first is this expression she has, which is make the habitual ritual. And I love this because it's all about, bringing, not feeling like you have to have separation between, say, a spiritual practice or your meditation practice or your yoga practice, that all of these, that those aspects can be carried into everything you do. And that when you're really careful and aware and you create ritual with everything you do, you bring a different level of experience to your life and a different quality to your life. And so that you don't need to feel like you have your spiritual side or your meditative side, that can be carried out in every action of your life and everything that you do in your life. And I think that's a really beautiful way to approach life that creates a lot of depth and a lot of richness, and probably just brings a lot more value to everything you do. So I thought that was really cool. Another thing, we talked a lot about her some of the adversity she'd gone through in life, and one of the really wild things that happened to her was while she was giving birth, her husband actually noticed a lump, and the next day she went in to check if it was cancer, and indeed it was, and she basically had just given birth, was a brand new mother, and realized she had cancer, and basically went through a year of fighting that. And that caused a lot of challenges, of course, to Chantal, but also to her marriage, to her husband. It really rocked them. And so we talked a lot about how she rebuilt the relationship, how they rebuilt the relationship, I should say. And one of the key things there was this idea that every day they chose each other and they came back to one another. And I think it's a really important way and a really beautiful way to think about your relationship, which if you want to have a long-lasting relationship that lasts well into the future, you can't just think about the long term. You have to think about every day, how you can be in choice with your partner every day, how you can choose them in the actions, in your behavior, in what you say and what you feel with them in every moment. This is something that I am definitely thinking a lot about this year in my own relationship. So I really thought this was a beautiful thing to share, that and her perspective on this was really deep and wise. And the last thing, also around her experience going through cancer and coming out the other side, was I said, how did having a near-death experience like that, how did it change you? And one of the key things for her there was that she found herself after the experience of cancer saying yes to more things that she may have otherwise been afraid to, or perhaps thought, maybe I'll do that some other time. She just says yes to them now. And it speaks to a real vibrancy in life, and really just capturing the moment more in life and realizing that life is actually very short and very precious. And so to say yes to things if it lights up in your heart. On the flip side of that, she also says no to a lot more, which I think is just as important, because if you're going to say yes to things, you have to be able to say no to things. This is something that I'm really processing in my life right now, because I've always been someone who gets excited by new ideas, who's constantly thinking about new companies, new projects, just people come to me with neat ideas that I could be involved in. So I'm constantly going through this, and particularly now as I'm going through some transition in my working life and my career, being able to say no is super important. And So that just really struck me, and something that I'm working on a lot and thinking about a lot. So those are 3 takeaways from the conversation. I just highly recommend you listen to the whole conversation, because I'm really not able to do it justice, but those are things that stuck out to me that I felt like if you only have a few minutes, those are 3 cool things to think about as you go into your weekend. We have a new episode coming on Monday with another amazing guest. I can't wait to announce it. And until then, have an amazing weekend. Take care of yourself. Make sure you get some rest and restoration and some real downtime, some quality downtime this weekend. Okay? Have a great one.